December 1st, 1948, Somerton Beach, Adelaide, Australia. A man is found dead on the sand. He is lying on his back, head resting against the seawall. His legs are crossed, his suit is pressed, his shoes are polished. He looks peaceful, like he simply lay down and never woke up. But here is the first mystery. He has no wallet, no identification, no hat, no luggage. The labels on his clothes have been cut away. His fingerprints match no one in any police database, and the autopsy reveals something even stranger. The man was in perfect health. His organs were normal. There was no poison in his system, no signs of violence. The cause of death remains unknown. In his pocket, however, investigators find a small scrap of paper. It has been torn from a book. On it, 2 words, Tamám Shud, Persian for it is ended. The scrap comes from a rare book of poetry called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. When police find the book, they discover that inside the back cover, a secret code has been written in pencil. 5 lines of capital letters, an unbreakable cipher. To this day, no one has fully decoded it. Who was this man? How did he die? And what was he trying to say with his dying breath? For nearly 80 years, the Somerton Man has been one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. In 2022, science gave him a name, but the questions remain. These were the last 30 seconds of a man who took his secrets to the grave, and the grave still hasn't given them back. To understand the Somerton Man, you first need to understand the world he died in. December 1948, the Second World War had ended just 3 years earlier. Australia was still rebuilding. The city of Adelaide was quiet, conservative, and unaccustomed to mystery. On the morning of December 1st, police received a call. A couple walking on the beach had noticed a man lying unusually still. They assumed he was drunk. They approached. He was not drunk. He was dead. Dr. John Barclay, the coroner, conducted the autopsy. He noted that the man's spleen was shockingly enlarged. His liver was congested with blood. His brain showed minor bleeding. But none of these findings explained death. The man had not drowned. He had not been poisoned. He had not been beaten. The most puzzling detail: the man's hands were raised above his head, but not in a defensive position, and his body was unusually clean. No sand or dirt on his shoes or clothing. The police photographer took pictures. Detectives dusted for fingerprints. Nothing. The man was a ghost. The body was embalmed and put on display, hoping someone would identify him. Hundreds came to the morgue. No one recognized him. After 3 months, they gave him a name, the Somerton Man. The beach where he was found had no official name, but locals called it Somerton Park. For years, the case went cold. In 1949, a year after the body was found, something changed. A police constable named Lionel Lean was reviewing the case when he remembered the scrap of paper found in the man's pocket. Tamám Shud, it is ended. Lean knew that the scrap had been torn from a book. He hypothesized that the rest of the book might still be somewhere in Adelaide, so he made a public appeal. Within a week, a man came forward. His name was John Freeman. He had been staying at a hotel near the beach in 1948. In his glove compartment, he had found a copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The book had a torn page. The tear matched the scrap found on the body. But Freeman did not want to talk. He was evasive. He claimed he had found the book in the back seat of his car after the body was discovered. He did not know how it got there. The police took the book. Inside the back cover, written in faint pencil, they found 5 lines of capital letters, a code. Here is what it looked like. WRGOABABD MLIAOI WTB MPN at P MLIABOAIA QC ITTMTSMs YUMSTGAB. The letters meant nothing to anyone. The police called in cryptographers from the Australian military. They tried everything. Simple substitution ciphers, transposition codes, even one-time pads. Nothing worked. The code remains unbroken to this day. Later, police discovered that the book also contained a phone number written inside. The number belonged to a woman who lived just a few blocks from where the body was found. Her name was Jestyn Thomson. Jestyn was young, beautiful, and married with a daughter. When detectives showed her the plaster cast of the dead man's face, she reacted strangely. She went pale. But she claimed she did not know who he was. However, she admitted that she had once owned a copy of the Rubaiyat. She had given it to a man named Alfred Boxall, a British Army officer, before he left Australia in 1947. The police tracked down Boxall. He was alive and well. He still had his copy of the Rubaiyat. It was intact, no torn page, no code. So where did the book with the torn page and the secret code come from? Why did Jestyn know the dead man's face? And why did she lie? Jestyn Thomson was born in 1921. She was a nurse during the war. In 1944, she had a brief relationship with Alfred Boxall, the British officer. She gave him a copy of the Rubaiyat. After he left, she married another man and had a daughter. When police showed her the death mask of the Somerton Man, she became visibly distressed, but she refused to identify him. She said she had never seen him before, but her body language told a different story. Decades later, in the 1990s, journalists interviewed Jestyn's daughter, Kate. Kate said that her mother had always been haunted by the case. She would not talk about it. But she kept a photograph of a man no one knew. Some believe that photograph was the Somerton Man. In 2002, a retired police officer named Jerry Feltus, who had written a book on the case, revealed that Jestyn had eventually admitted to knowing the dead man's identity, but she refused to name him. She said it would cause too much pain to his family. Who was he to her? A lover? A spy? A stranger who simply followed her? We may never know. Jestyn died in 2007, taking her secrets with her. But here is where the story becomes even stranger. For decades, the Somerton Man lay in a pauper's grave in Adelaide's West Terraced Cemetery. In 2021, a team of forensic scientists led by Professor Derek Abbott, an American geneticist at the University of Adelaide, was granted permission to exhume the body. They took teeth and bone samples. They extracted DNA, and they compared it to genetic databases. In 2022, Abbott announced the breakthrough. The Somerton Man had a name. He was Carl Charles Webb, a 43-year-old electrical engineer and instrument maker. He was born in 1905 in Footscray, a suburb of Melbourne. He had a wife, Dorothy, and a young son. But the identification only raised more questions. Carl Webb had no known connection to Adelaide. His family believed he had died in a car accident years earlier. He had no reason to be on that beach. Why was he there? Why did he have a scrap from a rare book of poetry? Why did he have a secret code in his pocket? Professor Abbott also discovered something else. Carl Webb's body showed signs of a rare genetic condition that could explain his enlarged spleen and other internal abnormalities. But it did not explain his death. Moreover, Abbott found that the body had been embalmed in a way that suggested it had been treated with a mercury-based preservative. That mercury, however, could have been a red herring. It might have been standard practice. The most stunning finding, however, was that Carl Webb was not a stranger to Jestyn Thomson. DNA evidence revealed that Webb was the father of Jestyn's daughter, Robin. The child was conceived in 1947, just months before Webb's death. Jestyn had lied for 60 years. But why? Why would a woman hide the father of her child? Why would she lie to police? And why would Carl Webb die on a beach, with a secret code in his pocket? By the 1950s, the Cold War was in full swing. Espionage was rampant. Some investigators believed that the Somerton Man was a spy. The code in the Rubaiyat looked like a classic intelligence cipher. The fact that his clothes had no labels suggested he was trying to hide his identity. In 1978, a retired Australian intelligence officer named R.G. Bob Whittington claimed that the Somerton Man was a Soviet spy. He said that the man had been part of a network operating out of Adelaide. The code, according to Whittington, was a message to his handlers, but Whittington had no evidence. He was never taken seriously. Other theories suggested that Webb was an American spy, killed by his own people because he wanted to defect. Still others claimed he was a rogue agent assassinated by Australian intelligence. In 2023, newly declassified documents from the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation showed that they had investigated the Somerton Man case in 1949, but their files were heavily redacted. No conclusion was reached. The spy theory is tantalizing. It explains the code, the removed labels, the mysterious death, but it has one major flaw. Webb was an electrical engineer, not a career spy. He had no known training in espionage, and his family had no idea he was involved in anything secret. Nevertheless, the code remains unbroken. And the possibility that Webb was a spy still circulates among mystery enthusiasts. In 2022, Professor Abbott, the same geneticist who identified Webb, proposed a new explanation for his death. Webb had a condition called chronic myocarditis, inflammation of the heart. Combined with his enlarged spleen and liver congestion, Abbott suggested that Webb may have died of arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia, a rare genetic heart disorder. ARVD can cause sudden death in apparently healthy people. There are no external signs. The victim simply collapses and dies. But here is the problem. ARVD was not discovered as a medical condition until the 1980s. In 1948, the pathologist would not have known what to look for. The autopsy did note some signs of heart abnormality, but nothing definitive. Moreover, if Webb died of a heart condition, why did he have a secret code? Why were his clothes missing labels? Why was he lying on a beach in Adelaide, hundreds of miles from his home in Melbourne? The medical theory explains the how of his death, but it does not explain the why. The phrase Tamám Shud is the final line of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. In the poem, it signifies the end of life, the end of the story. It is a resignation to fate. But in the context of the Somerton Man, the phrase takes on a darker meaning. Was Webb leaving a message? Was he saying that his life was over and that was that? Or was he quoting the poem as a final gesture? The copy of the Rubaiyat found in John Freeman's car also had a blank line after Tamám Shud. On that blank line, someone had written a telephone number. The number belonged to Jestyn Thomson. Was Webb trying to call her? Did he want to see her one last time? Jestyn's daughter, Robin, was conceived in 1947. Webb may have come to Adelaide to see his child, but something went wrong. He died on the beach, alone, with a cryptic note in his pocket. Some believe that Webb was poisoned by a slow-acting toxin that did not show up in the 1948 autopsy. Modern testing could detect it, but the body was exhumed in 2021, and the samples have been tested for many known poisons. Nothing has been found, so the cause of death remains a mystery. The code remains unbroken. The secret remains hidden. In 2025, the Australian government released a report summarizing the state of the investigation. They concluded that, based on current evidence, Carl Webb likely died of natural causes, and the code was either a hoax or a private message not intended for police. But the public is not satisfied. Forums like Reddit and online communities dedicated to unsolved mysteries continue to debate the case. New theories emerge every year. In 2026, a team of amateur cryptographers claimed to have cracked the code. Their solution, a secret message listing the names of Soviet spies. But experts dismissed it as coincidence. The Rubaiyat code remains one of the most famous unsolved ciphers in the world. It sits alongside the Zodiac Killer's code and the Voynich manuscript as a symbol of what we cannot know. Carl Webb's body was reburied in 2022 in a private ceremony. His family, who had no idea he was the famous Somerton Man, finally had closure. They knew his name, they knew his face, but they still did not know what happened to him on that cold December night. December 1st, 1948, a man lies down on a beach in Adelaide. He is well dressed, he is healthy. He is about to die. We do not know why he came to that beach. We do not know why he had a secret code in his pocket. We do not know why he was carrying a page from a book of poetry that said, "It is ended." We know his name now, Carl Webb, a husband, a father, an electrical engineer. A man with secrets. In his last 30 seconds, what did he think? Did he regret something? Did he accept his fate? Or was he simply a victim of chance, a random man who died of a heart condition and was turned into a legend? The Somerton Man is no longer nameless, but he is still a mystery. His code is still unbroken. His death is still unexplained. His secrets are still buried with him. These were the last 30 seconds of Carl Webb's life, but his mystery may never end. Last 30 seconds.